Hey Pokemon Masters, Birdkeepertoby here, and welcome back to another top 10 list. In fact, the last top 10 of 2015. And this year I've made a whole playlist of videos, my top 10 favorite Pokemon of every region, my top 10 favorite Mega Evolutions, but there's still one more video to go in this playlist, and that is my top 10 least favorite Pokemon. Now don't get me wrong, I try to love every Pokemon, there's a lot of Pokemon out there, so there's gonna be a few that aren't as great, but because of how much I try to love every Pokemon, there's only going to be one top 10 list of my least favorite Pokemon crossing all of the regions. And of course our magic word of the day, not that that should be a thing, is opinion. I am obviously gonna bring up a Pokemon that at least one or two of you might love, and that's fine. If we all love the same Pokemon, and if we all hated the same Pokemon, there'd be no point in there being more than one of us. So hey, if you love a Pokemon that I seem to dislike, let me know in the comments. Let me know what's so great about it, and maybe I'll start using it and you'll change my mind. Without further ado, let me begin with what I think are my least favorite, or the worst, 10 Pokemon. Number 10, Badou. So Roselia shows up in Generation 3 and it doesn't show too much of an appeal. I mean, it's not bad, it's just not great either. It's just a Roselia. And the announcement of Rose Raid really gave value to Roselia. Oh, I should catch a Roselia now, I'll evolve it. But the addition of an evolution also came with the addition of a pre-evolution, Badou, and what? I mean, I can appreciate a cute Pokemon when I see it, and mostly the baby Pokemon, I know people slate them for being baby Pokemon and being pointless, and I love them for their cuteness. And the fact is, in Generation 4, it's often fighting for the attention of other grass Pokemon, especially Turtwig, who I normally start out with. And I just feel like there's not a lot of point for me to catch a Badou when I know Roselia is probably going to be around the corner, easily enough able to catch pretty soon after. And I can't help but feel that I was always disappointed when I caught this Pokemon because it only seemed to know Leech Seed and Water Sport. But hey, that's just my thoughts. Number 9. So my number 9 pick is Patrat. Now don't get me wrong, Patrat isn't technically any worse than Rattata or Sentret or Bidoof. It's solely just a sake of timing. Obviously, Generation 1, they set up Rattata. Sure, that's unique because it's the first time they do it. Then they set up Sentret, and it's like, okay, this is going to be a convention. Zigzagoon was different enough, and it had pickup, and that was kind of interesting. And then Bidoof came along, and it was kind of like, they're making fun of their own conventions. Not to say Bidoof is silly, but I'm just saying, look at this guy. All hail Bidoof. So then when Generation 5 came along, it was kind of odd to see them take the serious approach with what had been a convention that I thought they were kind of getting tired of and taking the mick out of themselves. Not only that, Patrat at the beginning was competing with Lillipup for my attention, and it just wasn't gonna get it. Patrat will forever be a Pokemon that I'm just gonna look at and go, eh. Patrat fans, I hope you can convince me otherwise. Number 8, Castform. I mean, let's just take a look at it's baubles. I mean, at first, I'm pretty sure I thought this thing was a Christmas tree decoration, and then I thought, oh no, wait, they want me to take this seriously. The issue is, it's got a gimmick that is kind of and I know they keep trying to make it relevant by you have to have it in your party in Emerald to find Groudon and Kyogre, and then you have to have it in your party to get Thundurus, Landorus, and the Pokemon is just pointless. And don't get me wrong, Castform is cute, so I can kind of go, bless its heart. But trust me, there's no way I could put a Pokemon like Vanillite on this list when there's Pokemon like Castform still floating around. Sorry fella, you made this list. Number 7. Number 7 is the Pokemon Dwebble. Now, I know I sometimes say that I am a bit of a Gen 1-er. I can't help it, I have nostalgic attachment to Generations 1 and 2, really. Also part of the reason why all the different top 10 least favorites you're going to see on YouTube are all going to be different and varied because people started playing the games at different points. And sadly, when Dwebble was announced, I was at a point in my life where I was kind of like, they don't make them like they used to. The fact is that now I realize they kind of do, but at the time that feeling of like, that's so underwhelming has stuck with me. Dwebble is just a rock with a crab, and as I say, I realize this has been done before in other ways. Crab bug with a mushroom, crab bug without a mushroom. Hey, I hold my hands up, I get it, but Dwebble, that feeling of disappointment, it's with me. And so for a relatively unfair and unjust reason, Dwebble will forever be in the lowdown in my Pokemon estimations. Number 6. Okay, so maybe this is the part of the list where I start getting a little bit more brutal. My number 6 pick is Love Disc, and oh my god, why? It's kind of cute that they tried to make a Pokemon based off of, love and stuff, but a love heart? really? It doesn't really look that good. I'm sorry, I don't think it looks cute. And as far as battling goes, is Love-Disc usable? The most I've ever interacted with a Love-Disc is to farm it for heart scales and kill off millions of its kind. And the truth is, I always thought this Pokemon always deserved evolution. Then came along Amololola, or however you pronounce its name, this thing, and I was like, oh great, Love-Disc gets in that. Oh wait, no it doesn't. Love-Disc, I'm sorry to be brutal, if I was out fishing and it was between you and a Magikarp, I'd take the Magikarp, because at least he can evolve. Number 5. Number 5 is Aromatisse. Yeah, I mean, it's no wonder it's on the list of, like, my top 5 least favorite Pokemon. I mean, just, no. I can't, I literally, you know, I think it's fair that every person has a Pokemon that maybe they dislike just cause. I can't, I'm gone. Number 4. Okay, after that last one, I should probably give you a more serious explanation for number 4. Number 4 is Avalugg. Now, Avalugg is probably on this list for a very unfair reason, and that is that I have never given it a chance. I mean, it's a walking iced coffee table, and I never saw the appeal to use it. Bergamite, its pre-evolved form, I actually think looks really, really cool, but after several generations of just like big bulky ice Pokemon, I kind of thought, I'm not really feeling it. And to be honest, I don't really remember where you even catch Bergamite in X and Y. It just seems to have gone under the radar. I'm hoping I'll get to use it one day and really appreciate it for all the greatness I'm sure it has. I'm pretty sure it's bulky if I get that right. But for now, it just looks, well, kind of silly. And silly's good, just not here. This is the point, by the way, that in case any of you are just thinking I'm being whiny or anything, again, all of this is opinion based, and the fact of the matter is none of these Pokemon I really, really dislike. I just, you know, they're the less good ones. Number 3. Number 3 is the last Pokemon on this list that I don't like seriously dislike. Number 2 and number 1 we'll talk about, but number 3 is Barnacle? I haven't even bothered to remember its name. That's really sad. It's this one. And its evolution, actually. They're sort of both put together. It's not that I think they look silly, it's just that they look really silly. I feel like the idea and the heart and the passion was really there when we were making this Pokemon. It's just, the end result, I mean, you win some, you lose some. Again, like a lot of my top 10 favorite Pokemon, a lot of my least favorite Pokemon are all down to design reasons. It's aesthetic stuff. I like to imagine when I'm playing the games, my Pokemon literally like using those moves in an anime style battle, and I just can't imagine sending either of these things out without, you know, the opponent just laughing. Number 2. Okay, so here's where the list goes from, the you know, worst of a great bunch to, I just don't feel it. And this first one is a design reason, and it's a Pokemon that I know a lot of people love, so prepare to get angry at me, comment section. It's Servine. Snivy is cool, and Superior is very cool. This awkward middle stage is just, it's just gone wrong. I mean, where's its feet? Are those feet? Does he have feet? How does it stand? Even in the show, just looking at it stand makes me cringe. I'm a little bit confused about how the mechanics of it work. Yeah, I dislike this Pokemon because of how it stands. Because you see, for me, if I haven't used a Pokemon before, so I don't, you know, if I haven't given it a chance, then all I've got to go on is its aesthetic. And in Generation 5, when picking my starter, I have Pignite and Duot to compare it to, and those two look really awesome. And then Servine, how does it stand? I don't understand. It just bugs me. Right, I'm gonna move on because Servine isn't the biggest problem for me in terms of Pokemon. I'm gonna move over to my number 1 slot now. Number 1. So you heard number 1 through -5 because this is not just one Pokemon, it's a whole evolutionary branch of Pokemon. These are the Pokemon that I don't understand and I don't like and I will probably never use, and I have given them a try. It's the Pan and Simi Monkey lines. These Pokemon are my least favorite by far. Every other Pokemon on this list, even Servine, I'm kind of like, you know, it's still a Pokemon, it still has its good sides. But this whole evolutionary tree of monkeys, the only good I can find is that Simisage looks kinda acceptable. I dig the hair. I'm a fan for silly apes with poofy hair, but the rest of them, I don't like them. Firstly, I don't think there's enough different between each of the evolutionary lines to warrant there even being 3 lines. Secondly, I hate that their only function in the game is literally to challenge the player at the beginning to using a move other than their starting type's, you know, element move. And I've tried using Pansage and evolving it into Simisage, and it was so weak. They require an evolutionary stone to evolve, and then they don't learn any moves after they evolve. And while I know that's a pretty common thing for a lot of evolutionary stone Pokemon, the fact is that just the Pans are just so weak. And I get the idea was kind of like you're picking a second starter and you get a thing. Just give me a second starter. Do what X and Y did. Give me a second set. But these monkeys, they do not count. And sorry, I know there must be fans of these Pokemon out there, but that is just my opinion. Going onto the internet with an opinion is a dangerous thing. That said, I am looking forward to seeing yours in the comments below. There were no Gen 1 or Gen 2 Pokemon on this list. Yep, definitely gonna be called a Gen 1 because of it. And the fact is, I have huge nostalgic attachment to the Generation 1 and 2 games, and because of that, because this is my own personal list, you know, I just don't dislike any of them. Because this list isn't fact, it's the other one. I've said it too many times, I gotta stop. And the truth is, I actually really do want to hear your opinions in the comments below. This is, you know, this was not supposed to be a ranty, you know, hate-filled video of Pokemon that I dislike. As I say, I think there's merits in all Pokemon, I just haven't found them yet. Instead, this was just a fun, blow-off steam kind of video, and I want to hear your thoughts. And if you want to hear me praise some of your favorite Pokemon, then I now have a whole playlist of my favorite Pokemon of each region and my favorite Mega Evolutions, and comments on all of those videos telling me your favorites or telling me your least favorite Pokemon here. I read them all. I love seeing your lists. Without another way, I will see you next week.
This is Ash Ketchum. You just watched a video by Birdkeepertoby. That makes you a Pokemon Master.